What is up? I'm NYJohn, and this is a replay cast of the Defense 3. We have QWERT123456 versus FnaticRC. A match was actually played earlier today, December 18th, and I am bringing it to you on my YouTube channel for some extra coverage. And of course, I didn't get to watch the match, so I figured why not go ahead and just cast it for myself. And we are already well into the mix of things. We can see that QWERT has taken out Bounty Hunter, Undying, Nature's Prophet, and Luna. They're sitting on their 5th ban right now, and we'll see what they want to finish up here. Meanwhile, FnaticRC took out Magnus, Batrider, Chen, and Lone Druid. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. Queen of Pain is going to be the last ban out from QWERT. Let's check what the heroes on the board are already. We see Darkseer, Rubik, and Sven for QWERT. Meanwhile, for FnaticRC, they have Nyx Assassin first picked, Jakiro and Templar Assassin on the back end of that. So interesting to see. Of course, Nyx Assassin has gotten a lot more play as a support. We saw teams like Complexity at the International try and use him as a support. Didn't pan out as well. After then, Nyx gets a buff. He gets that really strong Spike Carapace, and now a lot of teams are trying to use him in that support capacity. We've seen Na'Vi do it. We've seen Dignitas do it on a regular basis, and it looks like FnaticRC like to try that out as well. I haven't seen as many of their play, but I know Fnatic has been playing really well as of late. And Brewmother's going to be the final ban from them. QWERT with a 4th selection here. Already have a carry in Sven. Rubik probably not going to solo against the TA. It would be a really difficult matchup. If they have to put him there, they will, but it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. Darkseer could solo middle or solo bottom from the Dire team perspective, and he could do so very well. So they have some options to maneuver around, and with their 4th hero, expect them to take a support here. I mean, Venomancer still on the board, of course, works wonders against TA. Pretty good against Nyx Assassin. I mean, Nyx Assassin wants to be mobile. He wants to get in and out of the fights. You're not going to really gear a hero selection towards trying to mitigate one of the support heroes from the other team. But of course, Rubik already does that to some extent against Jakiro. Being able to potentially seal off that ice path is so powerful. And every hero is presenting an option for Rubik where we stand right now. I mean, Templar Assassins, Refraction, and Traps, all great options. Rubik is such a strong hero pickup. I love to see him in the first 3 selections. Enigma's actually going to be picked up by QWERT. I'm a little bit surprised that this made this through, as we did see heroes like Chen go out, Nature's Prophet. Enigma usually gets taken out in that second ban phase, but a nice little pickup there for QWERT, so they can run a safe lane duo with Sven and potentially Rubik, potentially whoever the last pick is, and put Enigma in that jungle. Of course, Enigma also good against heroes like TA. Jakiro is decent against Enigma, but you can't be too concerned with stuff like that. Now, 4th hero pick for Fnatic. What do they want on the back end of TA, Jakiro, and Nyx Assassin? They're going to need a carry and a long laner. Beastmaster is still in the pool. Windrunner is still in the pool. So expect to see one of those 2 heroes. Tidehunter is here, but a little bit less likely for him to get selected up. It would be a tough offlane against the Sven plus whatever. And Beastmaster is probably going to be one of the better selections here because can go through that BKB, so works well against Enigma. If he has a black hole and Beastmaster is not within range of it, I think he would be an overall solid pick. And then, of course, they're going to need a carry as well. So for carries, there's a little bit more options available. We've seen some teams still sticking with heroes like Animage. They like to play him a lot, get the most out of him. Of course, he's a viable carry. Then we've seen some teams try and go the aggressive outlook with heroes like Juggernaut and Dragonite as well. There's a lot of valid options for that carry role. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a hero like perhaps a Chaos Knight. They're going to pick up the Windrunner first. So Windrunner going to be the offlaner. They don't go with the Beastmaster. This isn't too shocking. Of course, Windrunner can actually fare better in the lane, where Beastmaster needs to do more outside of the lane to try and get himself going financially, as well as in terms of gaining experience, and that can be taken into consideration. Windrunner Shackles as well, great early on, is ready for every team fight, low cooldowns on all the skills across the board. Don't really concern yourself with her ultimate. Now the 5th pick from QWERT, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are they going to try and round this up with? They could still use an off-laner if they want to put the Darkseer up against TA, which is going to be an option, or they can use a middle lane hero. They've banned out Queen of Pain themselves, so one of the better middle lane heroes out of the mix, and Venomancer are actually going to get selected here. This might mean Rubik is going to be mid laner. In fact, he has to be, I believe. And then Darkseer is going to be in the off lane, and then there it is. NMH, like I talked about, a lot of teams still loving this hero, and he'll come out last. And NMH still a perennial powerhouse at the carry role. And we're about to get rolling into the game of NYJohn. This is a cast of the Defense 3 Fnatic Raid Call versus QWERT123456 from earlier today, December 18th. Thank you for joining me and watching. We're waiting for 2 more people to select up their heroes. And it's the 2 carry heroes, NMH versus Sven. A tale as old as time. We'll see who gets the better of the matchup in this game momentarily. FnaticRC have been playing outstandingly well as of late. QWERT have been pretty strong. I haven't seen that many games from them. I've seen a couple where they put up a strong fight, but they really weren't able to close out on their opportunity, as I need to change the camera options, of course. And we have a little bit of a pause here. This is a replay cast, so I don't really like to sit through pauses. So we'll fast forward through them, and we're into the game. So let's go over who's playing what. For Fnatic, we have Trixie on the NMH, JK on Windrunner, I believe that's Hani, No Tail on Nyx Assassin, Fly My Schenkel on Jakiro, and Era on Templar Assassin. Going to take up the mid lane role. I know Era does a lot of carrying and Trixie sometimes a little bit of mid laning. So this is a team that they like to adjust who plays what role from time to time. We do actually see Enigma geared up to lane. So Enigma being played by Ashrin for QWERT is actually going to solo the long lane. Interesting choice there. Thought he could have done pretty well in the jungle. And Papa will be playing that Sven. Sasu on Darkseer. He picks up level 1 Ion Shell, so probably going to be a middle Darkseer. Rubik does have wards, so it looks like a full support Rubik is going to be played by a Venter, and Orc on a Venomancer. So it's going to be a standard tri-lane in the top, and they should do really well against what looks like Nyx Assassin with his tri-lane. So Nyx, Jakiro, and Windrunner. They're going to let Antimage try and solo the bottom lane, and he should be able to do so pretty capably, especially against an Enigma. They may want to adjust to that. The Dire team, that is. I'm not sure who's going to get the better of this tri-lane, though. It's going to be tough to get farm onto Sven against this attack. This is a really interesting approach. And the haste rune is in the river. Windrunner's going to be able to acquire that. Maybe try and put some extra pressure on here. Rubik actually rotating towards the middle, but just to put wards down, I believe Sasu is in the lane. Looks like he'll be able to take that up. And he will be against Templar Assassin, so he's going to get the matchup he wants. Occasionally, we do see the adjustment where they throw a Templar Assassin in the bottom lane once they realize, but I think she'll just stick to her guns this game, stay in the middle, and try and brute force it. Level 1 Psyblades, so not too concerned. Doesn't pick up the refraction first. Gets that extra range, which is always nice. Now, haste rune on Windrunner, trying to be active in the top lane early. Sven has to back off a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring up our lessons and denies to keep track of those. And the farm will be going to Windrunner, of course, as you would expect in this lane. It's a matter of who's going to get the better of the kill exchanges. And I guess if Sven's not going to get CS, that's going to be important as well. So he's going to have to try and do his best. There's a lot of pressure coming out. He can't really step up to last hit the creep wave because he will face the threat of an ice path. And if Windrunner can chain something off in the back end of that, Sven's going to take a lot of punishment. So early on, he's 1 for 1, doing decently, but we do see a little bit of a maneuvering. They're trying to pull a creep wave here. Looks like they do so successfully. Another pause comes out, so another fast forward comes out from me. And we're back. So pretty painless doing it from a replay cast instead of having to sit through this. But it didn't look like that was a long one anyway. Middle lane Darkseer level 2 does pick up his Surge. He should have full rune control here, so expect to see a bottle come out to him momentarily. In fact, it's already on the courier. So pretty solid choice there. Animage putting some pressure on Enigma, jumping past the wave to deal some auto attacks and sap some mana from him. Enigma's going to need to get that soaring up as soon as possible just so he can maintain mana and be able to constantly create those eidolons while denying some experience and gold from Animage. And as it stands right now, I really think that Fnatic just have a better approach in the laning phase. I mean, they're doing well in the top lane. They're doing well in the bottom lane. Enigma's doing fine. He's not doing poorly by any stretch, but the fact that NMH is just able to toe-to-toe him as we see him apply some more pressure, I think QWERT are going to have to be the team that decides to adjust. Not sure what that adjustment would be. That would mean for the best possible action. Middle lane, we see some pressure on Error. The Iron Shield damage stacking up, takes down the Refraction pretty easily, but no real threat of a death there. And now the lane is pushed, so this will be an opportunity for Sven to pick up some last hits. He's pretty even with Windrunner as it stands, but even's going to be a victory for the Radiant, especially in this lane. As we see, the supports are backed off a little bit. They're both level 2, allowing Windrunner to get the lion's share of the experience, which is the right thing to do. A hero that greatly benefits from getting those extra levels under her to get that extra duration on both the stun, the extra damage on the long-range nuke. It's wildly beneficial to let her get whatever extra experience you can. Also, maybe trying to bait out a little bit of over-aggression as the Dire team may become frustrated, not getting ideal farm. And meanwhile, we see once again NYJohn is going to jump past the tower. Enigma really having a tough time dealing with this harass damage out from Trixie here. Aishrim versus Trixie, and Trixie's getting the better of the exchange, but that's what you would expect. Middle lane, Iron Shell on the creep is going to come forward and just tick off that refraction from Era. But stop there. Now we do see a Venomous Gale used on top on the back end of a Telekinesis, but Ice Path flies, and it looks like no further threat will come to Windrunner. He actually windruns because Sven rotates in and doesn't want to get hit by a Stormhammer, so they will end that little engagement as Windrunner looked like he was trying to poke his head in and steal off some of those last hits on the pull, which has been warded. Now they do drop a sentry down, but it's not a range of the pull, so interesting choice there. They're just trying to get rid of any extra vision that the Radiant may have, but a little bit of a missed shot there. Failed attempt, and Enigma just staying at low mana, and this really does kind of mitigate the benefit of having Enigma in a long lane when he can't constantly use Malefice, or excuse me, Eidolon's Demonic Conversion is what I was looking for. When he can't constantly spam it out, he really does lose some value because he's not denying experience for NMH. He's not denying as much farm. NMH is level 5, he's level 4, and a part of it's going to be the extra pressure that he's been able to apply, but part of it has to be because the mana just isn't there, because he has had a delayed Soul Ring, because of the fact that Trixie has been so aggressive and really done some good work down there. Regen rune on Darkseer now. I'm a little curious to see if he's going to get at some point a little bit over aggressive and try and dive this tower. We'll see. I think if he picks up perhaps Vacuum with the next level or so, then I think he may have an opportunity to pick up an early kill on Templar Assassin. But now Bottle is crowed and ferried back, so TA will heal up a good amount, and it will make that much more difficult. And he does pick up Vacuum here, so perhaps the opportunity, if he can burn through one of those refractions and have a decent timing on it. It does 17-second cooldown. It does use the surge there to no avail as it runs to the tower, but I think he'd have a shot at killing him. So we'll see if Darkseer wants to try and really risk it. Of course, Shadow Meld is in play as well, so he would need to get some invis detection to really pose a threat. They have some sentries still up in the inventory as Venomancer, so smoke is an option for the Dire team as well. If they want to try and get something going, if they can allow that Darkseer to move more freely, get involved in the other lanes, it really would be beneficial. As it stands right now, let's go back to our last hits as we somehow fell away from him. It's just, you could see the chunk of leaders from the Radiant. 31 last hits on Templar Assassin, 28 on Windrunner, and 24 on NMH. Then the the drop-off as we reach Sven and Enigma. Sven at 14 and Enigma at 11. It's just not the greatest position, and now that NMH is level 6, there's a real threat of a kill down here on the bottom lane for Enigma. We haven't seen the first blood come out. We're 6 minutes into the game, but it may be in the works right now. It looks like No-Tail's looking for a stun. He lands on top of Venomancer. They throw down an Ice Path as well, but there's no follow-up from Windrunner, and Venomancer will live for the moment, but No-Tail's going to go ahead and use a Clarity. He'll pot up. Sven is level 4. They're looking for an opportunity to jump on him, and now he's in an awkward position. They throw the stun off on Nyx Assassin. Gale will pop as well, but gets stunned by the Spike Therapist, and now they're going to go and pursue further. A good shackle, and down he goes. And it looks like Sven may drop as well, but the power shot actually misses. Sven pops off the Warcry, tries to juke into the jungle here, And he's so low. 2 hits will do the job. And here they are. Actually, he pops off his magic stick and will survive for another moment. But down he goes. Another kill in the top lane. Rubik has rotated back over to the lane. Telekinesis onto Nyx. Tosses him up in the air. But Spike Carapace will stun off both of the heroes. Jumping onto him. Enigma uses the Malphite stun. And now Nyx Assassin will go down. A casualty for the Radiant side. Meanwhile, Aestrin dropping pretty low from a power shot flying out from JK. And that won't be enough to finish him off, though. JK is going to have to retreat here. Meanwhile, while that went down, it looks like Aestrin actually dropped on the bottom lane to Trixie. Off the res, he TP'd to the top and was able to get that kill onto Nyx Assassin. So an interesting sequence of events, and definitely a nice little advantage growing here for FnaticRC. They've kind of outmatched QWERT where we stand right now. They had a better plan. They took advantage of the weaknesses in QWERT's laning options, and they're definitely looking strong. And QWERT's going to need to get some movement, get Darkseer around the map, let him cause some chaos, and I think they're waiting perhaps for level 3 vacuum, or maybe just the opportune rune. It's going to be bottom. It actually will be invisibility, which should be a decent one for setting up some ganking opportunities. Now, all hands on deck for the tri lane up here. Sven still desperately trying to get to level 6. God's Strength would help tremendously in these past fight and a half. Here comes a stun out, though, as they throw down an Ice Path and chain off a nice shackle. They're going to try to finish him off. The power shot takes him pretty low. He's going to go ahead and turn this on to Windrunner, but Windrunner gets the Windrun off. Sven goes down, and now Venomancer just trying to get the couple last hits onto Windrunner. She retreats. Venomancer taking a good amount of damage as the turnaround on him. Ice Path flies, and it doesn't hit anybody. And now Jakiro's in trouble, but it looks like Nyx Assassin's still in pursuit of this Venomancer. Gale's going to be up in another second. It may fly off. Will he live through the last auto attack? He actually throws up despite Carapace. Now the Venomous Gale is put onto Jakiro instead. Sven uses the stun and is able to finish off Jakiro. But not before it becomes a 2-to-1 trade in favor of the Radiant team. FnaticRC, EU, and Trixie on the bottom lane is just getting a tremendous amount of farm. We can see we're 9 minutes into the game, already has Perseverance. He finishes up his treads now as well. And he's got 48 for 22 in terms of his last hitting. And now look at the pressure he can apply on Enigma. There's just almost nothing he can do. If he decides to use the Soul Ring, he can black hole him, but he needs some team support to rotate in to have any real threat of actually killing him. And Venomancer now is actually going to make his way towards the lane and could be that little helper that Enigma needs to make something happen, but Trixie's just going to blink away very casually on the top lane. No, a lot more trouble for Sven. He's actually going to drop again. That's the third death on Sven. He's 0-3-1, and this tri lane just working wonders up here. And I really like the way they played it too. Very passive early on with the supports, allowing Windrunner to pseudo-solo. On the middle lane, though, Era's going to be in trouble as they use the Surge, and the dive onto him. Refraction is brought back up off cooldown, though, and Era puts Darkseer down. And TP was coming in from Nyx Assassin as well, but he wouldn't have had enough mana to really use any of his skills, and now they're trying to defend this rune for TA. Meanwhile, Venomancer is being pursued here. Ice Path going to be available in 1 second. Are they going to do a blind? I'm not sure what catch anyway. It looks like Rubik's actually going to come in. Telekinesis onto Jakiro. Throws him to stun off No-Tail, but actually pushes him closer to Venomancer. And now the Power Shot will finish him off. A slight blunder there. Now Sven takes a Melt Strike. He retreats back to his Tier 2 tower. And he has some more team support making their way in. It's going to be Darkseer. Darkseer does have level 2 in that vacuum, level 4 in Ion Shell. He pops the Ion Shell on himself. Here it comes. The vacuum's going to fly in a moment. They bring everyone together. Down goes Jakiro. Now Arrow's going to be the next focus. Can Sven get another God's Strength hit on him? No, the Melt Strike is enough to take down Sven as Era turns with the utmost confidence. Now Sasu's going to try and pursue and finish off TA, but he's taking a good amount of damage just running around. Not enough burst damage coming out from Darks here. And a great Gale is going to hit 3 heroes, but Venomancer's all by his lonesome now. There will be nothing more to try and help this effort. Meanwhile, all 5 heroes from the Dire are drawn to the top lane. Anti-Mage not needed. He's going to farm bottom lane, and this is officially free farm. 67 for 27 is doing really well, and you can see he's taken a huge lead over Sven, who's going to be, in theory, the counterpart to the NMH, the opposition's carry, and that's certainly going to create a huge hurdle for QWERT to overcome. Blink Dagger now up on Templar Assassin, about standard timing. Templar Assassin deciding to pick up power treads, not something you don't see all too often. No-Tail going to come in here with a stun onto Sven once again, and a great shackle comes out from JK. JK looking for some more damage. One more power shot should do the job. It's up in a second, and it will be on target and lets it fly, and that's a kill for Windrunner. And that was just well played all around, but they got to be in trouble, so we do see the rotation coming up. Enigma has a black hole available. Templar Assassins in the mix as well, as we do see a Psionic Trap come down. So this is going to be an interesting and great engagement. It's a 3v4 in favor of the Dire. Sasu's now going to pop off a vacuum catch. Windrunner pulling him back. Windrunner one tick till dead, and he goes down, but on the back end, Era one-shots Rubik for the most part. And now Era needs to be careful, though, as he's taking a whole lot of damage from these ion shells. He turns around and will just finish off Venomancer. Doesn't mind, decides to trade his life for two of those of the Dire team. And I'd say not a bad trade for the Templar Assassin. He has such a huge lead. And being able to further push back the progression of those support heroes, I mean, it's going to hurt them so much, especially when there's not that farm on the important heroes. Of course, it looks like Darkseer is going to opt for a mech, which is a good choice. I think this is quite possibly an adjustment choice. Usually you want to get it on one of the supports. I mean, you have an Enigma on your team, so he's an ideal candidate, but he had a tough time, and Mechanism is one of those items that can help you get going. It will allow you to go ahead and have better fight and better results out of these early fights. The only issue is that Windrunner on the opposing team already has his mech up. But still, I think it's a good adjustment. Otherwise, they might get blown out of the water. So, appropriate choice there. And now a tower destroyed by the Radiant. They actually get the last hit. Sven comes in for what looked like an attempt to deny, but he could not quite convert on it. And now Sven's going to back up here towards his tier 2. Ashren's in the area. He has Black Hole still. He hasn't had an opportunity to really pop one off. Meanwhile, we see Venomancer around as well. So, a lot of heroes drifting up towards this jungle. In fact, Invisible Nyx Assassin's going to go ahead and stalk one of these heroes. The choice will be Enigma right now. Rotation's got to come in from both TA as well as... Oh, it doesn't matter. Nyx Assassin does it himself. And easily. And this is what it means to have a developed support hero versus a support hero that has just been beaten into the ground. Nyx Assassin, level 8. Let's check out the overall levels, and we can see that Sven is level 8. Venomancer level 4. Eventer on Rubik, he's level 6, and Enigma's level 9. So all these heroes are going to be susceptible to these ganks from Nyx Assassin. They're going to have to get some nice warding up to try and prevent that, and a lot of sentries, and they don't really have the money for it. So, you know, it's not going to be as easy as it may seem. Courier coming in here. It's going to deliver an item to somebody. I don't know why I was coming from that direction, but let's check out Trixie. He's been alone for quite some time, and he does have his Battle Fury finished up. So, of course, great item for Anti-Mage. And he's just going to continue to work in this bottom lane alone. We do see 5 heroes, a wall drop down, but don't catch anybody. Questionable wall usage. I mean, it's early on in the game. Wall isn't that pivotal in team fights. It is a level 11 wall, but he doesn't have 2 levels in it quite yet, so, you know, not the biggest deal. And it's not the longest cooldown either. So we're not going to harp on that. Instead, we're going to look to the middle lane where the tier 1 has taken a decent beating. It's down to 315 health. From behind the tower, Templar Assassin Invis, the rune just runs out. Nyx Assassin has popped his Invis. They know something's going on here. And his stun's going to fly. It actually hits on Enigma, and Enigma stands no chance. Down he goes to the hit from Era. And now blink forward from Animage. Animage is just going to go ahead. Mana Void onto Venomancer. One more auto will do the job. And a couple easy kills there for FnaticRC. And they're putting on a clinic right now. 17-6 is a kill lead. QWERT outmatched in the lanes. I think it's fair to say that. The fact that your off lane is an Animage versus an Enigma. Animage getting free farm. Not really contested. Enigma couldn't do all too much by himself. I don't want to discredit the players, but maybe the plan of action was a little bit lackluster. And No-Tail in the middle lane now is going to look to just continually sap off the mana of these heroes. as my camera goes a little bit berserk. But thank you for joining me for this match of the Defense 3. Shackle attempt flies off from JK, not quite going to hit. Sasu's now going to turn around. He has no mana. He'll pop off his Soul Ring just to get a little bit and go ahead and eat some of those bottle charges as well. But if you don't use it, you lose it, buddy. And he loses it. So, interesting decision there. Sven going to exchange some hits with Era in the jungle. And now a vacuum does fly off. It catches 3 in the middle of it. It's a good one. Enigma has a black hole. Can he make his way in here and actually get the black hole off? It looks like no. From behind, Era's able to finish off Rubik. It's just because of the huge lead they have. These support heroes. Oh, a brilliant shackle. Uphill is going to be chained off with an ice path. And now it looks like the black hole will catch 2 in it. Sven pops off the God Strength and a stun. He's going to take down 2 heroes here. It looks like Windrunner was just narrowly able to get out the Windrun. It's only 1 kill so far, but Windrunner finished off by an auto attack from Enigma. Now Trixie's looking for one more auto attack that will do the job to him. And that was one hell of a long range auto coming out from the Anti-Mage. Blink backwards from Rubik as it's stolen off from Anti-Mage. And instead, Era's going to jump onto him and be able to finish him off as well. Continue to play so well. FnaticRC are looking like they're in the driver's seat, ready and poised to take this game quite decisively. And on the middle lane, we do see some pressure onto this tier 2, but they're going to have to back off here. Templar Assassin's working towards a BKB that will come up eventually. He's only about 170 gold away from it, so that's going to be really nice. Pick up Anti-Mage working towards a Manta. He's still got a ways to go for that, though. So, about 1,100 gold, 1,200 gold from finishing that. He's 5-0-1 in this game, and his farm is huge. 130 over 29. I mean, relative to everyone else in the match, he's making it look like a walk in the park, really. So, brilliant plays. And now the tier 2 on the top lane is going to be pushed in here just by Anti-Mage. And once again, it's going to be a split effort, a 4-1. And there's almost nothing that QWERT can do at this stage of the game against it. It looks like they're able to pick off Nyx Assassin, but they still can't stop the push on this tower. And meanwhile, Anti-Mage taking the tier 2 on the top lane. So this is going to be a large influx of gold to the Viridian team, which is already ahead by a large amount. 15,000 gold. Experience 15,000 as well. I mean, these are pretty hard to cope with numbers. I'll go to net worth because there's a large contingent of people that do like to see net worth a little bit more. And 9,200 gold on Templar Assassin, 9,000 gold on the Anti-Mage. A little bit surprising that TA has more money than Anti-Mage, but she's been a part of 12 kills, has 9 of them. Now they're going to go for a pretty simple Roche attempt. Stun flies out by Rubik, doesn't hit on anybody. The courier's actually going to run into Darkseer. Darkseer not able to capitalize on that. He'll get walled down. He uses a vacuum, brings them in. Now BKB popped and they turn it around. Aegis on top of Anti-Mage. Templar Assassin takes down Darkseer. Anti-Mage takes down Enigma. And now Templar Assassin looking for a kill onto Rubik. She'll get that. And Sven just trying to do what he can, but he's dead as well. Last man standing is going to be Venomancer, but not for long, as he is taken down. And a 5-man team wipe. We might see GG, and there it is. GG called by QWERT, and that's going to be the end of the match. Thank you for tuning in. This is a Defense 3 replay cast from earlier today on NYJohn, and I hope you enjoyed the match. FnaticRC continually looking powerful. So really nice to see teams progress as a unit as well. I mean, they did have slight lineup changes. Not the drastic lineup changes we've seen, and especially we've seen from teams in their circumstances before. They came onto the scene, they weren't met by immediate success, and they were able to persevere, and now, post-TI2, they're looking like a mighty strong team. So congrats to them. Good effort from QWERT, but it just seemed from the get-go they were outmatched, at least in the laning phases, and their matchups, it's just, something was off. And I believe if they look at this replay, they'll know as well that they just weren't able to really get those matchups in the lanes that they wanted. And I'm a little bit concerned that it's because they forced the Enigma into the bottom lane just to get the Darkseer matchup against the TA. But then again, I mentioned before the game, Rubik versus TA is not a good matchup
by any stretch of the imagination. Rubik can fare decently sometimes, but by level 6, he's pretty much put himself into a bad situation. And, you know, I mean, I'm not sure the picks were there. I'm not sure they were the proper picks. Not too many stuns available. I mean, a whole slew of problems for QWERT. But that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm going to do more of these replay casts as I did for the Defense Season 2 moving forward. I hope you enjoy them.